and welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that little bit in the opening there. Not that, this is not a Showtime owned or affiliated thing or whatever, but just a little bit of a thing I'm experimenting with, saying, here's the next con I'm going to, whatever. Just a little bit of warning for all the future videos that are coming up, at least not the Everfree Northwest or the other videos coming up. I think it's only going to be complimentary to this, the MOP stuff, and probably the movie reviews. I don't know. I'm still trying to sort that out as time goes on. But anyways, this week is Fish and Bird. Yes, Fish and Bird. Because something has to be different from fish and chips, right? Anywho, we continue off from last week's episode as Ray is cleaning out the van from last week's episode, and Mickey is being set up for his time in prison. And as you can tell, everything's all advanced and high-tech and whatnot, and not like all those weird things that they used to do back in like the 70s or 80s or whatnot. So, different time and different era for prisons. As we see that Ray is telling Abby about the situation, and for some reason or another, this gets Abby to have sex with him, because who knows. But of course, during the day, as Ray is talking with an agent of his, mostly the the art dealer, he winds up getting buffed so that he can fire off Ray's gun that he broke into last week. Now, I don't know this for a fact, but I don't think it's like muscles that is required to use for a firearm. I think it's mainly just muscle memory or whatever, or at least in my acknowledgement of knowing how people use firearms is how to hold the thing in the right position. Or it could be the right way, just muscles or whatever. I mean, I'm not like a guns expert, but surely once I get gun training, I'll know how. But with that in mind, Bunchy comes over with Marie to stay over, since the gym isn't like a proper place, as the Russian guy manages to stalk him and Mickey as they were dropping him off at the prison, and it's obvious to the fact that Ray kicks his ass and tells him to get away from his house and whatnot. But anywho, Ray goes to the art dealer as he tells him that he refuses to pay anything to Belikov. But he's got to work with him in order to, pay everything off and whatnot. Which means having to get a bunch of artwork for the museum. Where does he go? Well, he goes to a Russian facility where apparently he discovers a couple of things while there. But in the meantime, Bunchy is getting Marie baptized because, and I guess it's like a Donovan thing for all the family to get baptized. Again, I wouldn't know because I'm not a big church person. Apologies if this has offended you, because again, I'm not that type of person. But we see that Mick confesses to... Mick confessed to a agent about his BS story version of the gunfight that happened during the finale of the last season, that being season 3, when he was fighting off the Belikov and his members. And it's hard to believe, and the agent literally finds it hard to believe and all that, but they wind up thinking about one or two things that might be able to help Mick out. But what is it? We won't know till the very end of this. So we see that Ray goes to a breast cancer charity auction where he talks about his findings to the art dealer. And this gets the art dealer talking about the situation. And, you know, she just ignores it and just tells him just to continue on with his time. You know, just shut up and deal with it or whatever. You know? But anywho, Whitland, turns out, while at the charity auction, is in fact the art dealer's uncle while he was there, and in the twist, I don't know if that's even a twist or not, but I figured if you've seen the episode you might understand what I mean by that. I just wrote it down in my notes for whatever reason. Anywho, Belikov winds up getting released out of prison, which might spell some trouble for the Donovan family because, you know, he might go after them, he might, you know, might do some serious harm to them. But we see that Ray tries to chat with the lady that he met in the Russian facility, but it doesn't last long as he winds up getting the new art piece to bring to the art dealer. So it's essentially he does this, he does that, talks to the lady that he met at the Russian facility, and, you know, does his job. Kind of gets lackluster at best, but I just wish we could have learned more about the lady he was talking to. I don't even know if I'm joking or not on that. Anywho, Abs winds up throwing up something, but it turns out that Anywho, Abs is throwing up before the baptism of Marie, and Bunchy can't figure out what's going on with, you know, Abs and why she won't tell him about the, you know, the breast cancer, because I guess it just wants to be something between both Ray and Abby or something. But we see that Belikov gets some money thrown at him for some of the incident that happened during the last season, because he deserves some cash for what has happened to him and his time that he served in prison. As we see that Ray winds up going to the baptism and getting Marie baptized, as well as Ray almost feeling like he's at comfort zone in the church. But we see that Ray doesn't feel anything because Belikov's just got out of prison, but Abs winds up telling Ray to do the right thing, you know, like, think of what's the best situation in hand. Kind of reveals to Hector, or somebody who was staying at the gym, it's never revealed who it is in the episode, which I'm gonna need to look that up. But anyways, he shows off the gun he was showing off in the episode and last episode, as they wind up deciding to shoot some things. Later on, the family throws a baby shower for Marie, and Ray's a bit upset over a couple of things, and Bunchy gets a little bit mad over Ray trying to give Bunchy his cross, you know, the church cross, or whatever. because Bunchy obviously threw his away after the whole getting raped by a priest situation. So, yeah, he just doesn't feel like himself. It's almost like a relapse of Walk This Way, except it's a little less insane, if you know what I mean. But we see that Ray winds up getting a call from Mick in prison talking about what his story was with the prison, and they're talking a bit about life and whatnot, and how they can deal with the situation or whatever. And we see Ray goes to Belikov to give him the money from the art dealer, which earlier on he almost got sedated by him, or seduced, I should say, because she put him in like some art simulator or whatever, and we saw some cut off breasts, which is very disturbing, but I couldn't imagine this thing even airing on regular TV, which I'm glad this is a premium show. Focusing on hand with the rest of the episode, Ray goes to Belikov to give him the money for the situation, as he wants to use Ray to dispose of the lady we saw from earlier on, who apparently had died or whatever, which is sad. I wanted to know so much about her. But we don't see what happens in the situation at first, as we see Connor goes around firing off the, his pistol or gun or whatever it is. And he seems to be doing very well with his muscles, and surprised that he doesn't, go back or doesn't clock him in the face or whatever, but flies off and accidentally fires at somebody. I don't know how they do it, but it works. But we see that Bunchy finds out about the cancer, and, this gets Abs in a little bit of a twist, and just tells Bunchy to go to sleep since he's drunk. And in the final act of the episode, we see that Ray disposes of Belikov, Abs breastfeeds Marie, which, I don't know if this is going to be good or bad, and Ray and the art dealer wind up talking to each other for probably the last time or whatever, and Ray lays the girl out in the mortuary for them to dispose of her, which is sad to see her go away. But whatever the case is, this ends Fish and Bird. I did not know how to react to this. Yeah. This episode was a bit of a surprise, if you ask me. We went through a lot for season 4. I mean, I can't believe it. But Fish and Bird, I still have no idea to this day even how to react to this episode. I mean, I loved a lot of the other stuff. Get Even Before Leaving, that was good. Federal Booby Inspector, that was hilarious beyond belief. And I especially loved how Ray was singing to Bob Seger. But Fish and Bird? This one I have questions for. But I'm still at a 5 for this one, because there's just something about it that perplexes me on the situations at hand and the decision that they made. But it's still Ray Donovan, and it's still, a fine episode overall. I have to see what happens in next week's episode, and if you're watching this, you'll probably have the chance to see this as well. But with that in mind, what did you think of Fish and Bird? how did you react to some of the situations that happen at hand, and how did you feel about the young Russian lady? I would like to hear your thoughts about Fish and Bird in the comment section down below. And with that in mind, I will see you guys next week for an all-new Ray Donovan episode, but I will see you Saturday for a new MLP episode. So with that in mind, I am the Ferb Guy, and I'll see you guys for next week's episode, and for Saturday's new MLP episode. Later.